Okay, hello. So I've just pulled over to do a quick review on Derek Sivers' book, Anything You Want. This is a book, like a lot of them, that I've been meaning to read for quite a long time. I started getting into personal development books a couple of years ago, listening to a lot of them on Audible, reading quite a few as well, but I tend to have more time to listen to books with the amount of driving I do for my work and things. But yeah, basically I'm just doing these reviews just to kind of share some of the takeaways that I get from these books. I'm trying to do these reviews in a way that I would kind of appreciate if I was looking for a review on YouTube for a book I was about to read. I try and keep them fairly to the point and fairly short. I try not to put too much kind of opinion in there. I just want to sort of get the message across as to what I think and as to whether I think it's worth giving them a go. There's a lot of really good personal development books out there. Personal development is what I kind of tend to focus on mainly, although I do read some other stuff and review some other stuff as well. I've done loads so far. Check out some of my other videos if you feel like it. Please feel free to give me a like if you're feeling generous as well. It's quite nice to get that. It's a bit of a boost. I don't really do these reviews for any sort of payment or anything. I just do them as a way to kind of solidify what I've read, and it kind of helps me sort of remember some of the stuff that I've taken away from it. And I will also put the chapter titles on for this book as well, because this is one of those few books on Audible that actually has the chapter titles, which is really good. I always really appreciate that when I download a book on Audible and I find that it's got the chapter titles there, because you can go back and kind of review and go back over certain areas a bit more easily, which is really good. Also, Derek Sivers narrates this book, so I always say it's nice to have the author narrating. It kind of adds an extra something. It gives a bit more personality to it, I think, and no one knows their book like the person who wrote it themselves, so I think that's really good that he does that. It's a really good book. It's really short. I think it's an hour and a half long if I remember correctly, but it's really pacey. The chapters are quite short. The advice he gives is really, really good. He basically talks about making sure that when you go into business, you don't just do it for the money, you do it to solve a problem or to serve customers. And he basically says the whole way through is the key to his success is that you just want to serve customers all the time. You want to do whatever's best for the customer, and that means even resisting growing your company. So he says that he never particularly wanted to grow his company. He was quite happy as it was. He says that if you've got a certain amount of success and you've got enough income to pay the bills and you've got enough income to make you happy, then why do you need to keep growing? There tends to be a tendency for people to want to grow their business as big as possible, and society tends to make us think that we need to grow it as big as possible, but often that means a lot more stress, a lot more hassle. And in the end, I won't give any spoilers, but in the end he talks about what he did of his company, and that's really interesting and quite inspiring as well, I think. But I'll leave that to you to read that or to listen to it. But yeah, he gives some really, really good advice, and some of it is quite kind of sort of left field seeming in a way, sort of goes against some of the advice that you get from some other books in some ways. In some ways it's kind of in line with a lot of stuff that you get, from successful people. So there was nothing I listened to in this book that made me think, oh, I don't know, I don't agree with that. Everything he said I pretty much agreed with, and could imagine being something worthwhile, and that if I put it into practice in my own business, I can imagine things really improving. It's all about service, it's all about passion, it's all about doing something that you're excited by. He says that if something doesn't excite you, if it doesn't give you a hell yeah, then don't bother with it. He says to keep trying with things until you get a proper positive result from it. So keep putting stuff out there until you get real good reception by the public and what have you. And yeah, it's just full of really good advice. I knew this one was going to be good. I'd had it recommended to me before. It kept popping up on my recommendations on Audible as well. I can see it was a short book, so I sort of thought, yeah, I'll get around to that at some point. That'd be a nice quick one to get through. But it seemed to get some good reviews without it being too kind of blown out of proportion, if that makes sense. And that really appeals to me. And it does, like, not all books have this, but this book is another one that I think that has got its certain kind of character. And when I think of it, it has like a picture in my head, which I've said before in reviews I've done before. I can't quite explain what I mean by that, but some books just seem to kind of have some original sort of feeling to them, I think. Maybe it's partly to do with the cover that they have, with the voice that's reading it potentially, but I think it's mainly to do with the content and the way it kind of flows. It kind of gives me a feeling. Different good books that have that certain something kind of give me that feeling when I think of them, and I find them more memorable as well. And this is definitely one of those. This is one that I'm going to listen to again. In fact, I've already started listening to it again here and there, because it's so short, because the chapters are so short as well. You can get through it again really easily. And it's one that's worth that bit of study and actually kind of taking those lessons away and implementing them. If you haven't got a business, then there's stuff in there that is just really worthwhile in your work, in your day-to-day life. And And Derek Sivers seems like a really interesting, good bloke, actually. Like I say, I won't give any spoilers because I think that's a bit of a shame to do that in a review. But you can look him up online. I think he's got quite a bit of stuff on YouTube and stuff as well. But yeah, the book Anything You Want by Derek Sivers is absolutely fantastic. The 5-star reviews are definitely justified. So yeah, please check it out, give it a go. It's definitely a worthwhile one.